What is Reiki? Maybe you've been wondering that for a long time. Or maybe you've got a friend who put their hands on you and you could feel the healing energy. Or maybe you've never heard of Reiki and you just want to know what the heck it is. My name's Arnaud Goran. I'm the founder of Total Health Mastery. I'm an author and I've been speaking and teaching for over 20 years. That's what I do professionally. I'm a teacher and I love it. And today I would like to tell you about Reiki and what Reiki is, the history of Reiki, why you care, why you want to learn it, and why this is one of the greatest gifts that you can give to yourself. In this video, I'll be explaining to you what Reiki is and what it can do for you in your life and for the lives of the ones you love and care about, and even how you can use it professionally to make money or to make a difference for others. Reiki means light energy. It's a Japanese word that means light energy. Basically what it is bringing energy from heaven through your body and out your hands. And that energy can be directed to yourself or to other people. Oh my goodness, that sounds so woo-woo, doesn't it? A lot of people, I'm sure, would never believe that that's possible for a human being. But not only is it possible, it's practiced by thousands and thousands and thousands of people all over the world. There are healing centers all over the world that use Reiki. Even spas and hotels offer Reiki in their massage centers. I used to practice Reiki at the Optimal Health Institute in San Diego. There are over 700 hospitals around the world that offer Reiki in their hospital, including the Yale and Harvard Medical School hospitals. There are numerous scientific studies to validate the healing benefits of Reiki. We are now long past the time of disbelieving its usefulness or that it exists or that it can be done. Any logical and reasonable human being who sees the studies and experiences the benefits will know what I already know, that Reiki is an amazing gift to humankind. I've been practicing Reiki and teaching Reiki for over 20 years, and I was very blessed to be trained by a great master, Joanna K. Nielsen, who lives in the Washington State area north of Seattle and Everett, and she's still practicing and teaching Reiki there. Now by the end of the video, I'll tell you how you can take Reiki with me or find someone that you want to take Reiki with in your area. So don't worry, I won't leave you hanging, tell you all about it and not give you a chance to learn. So I'd like to share with you a little bit about myself, if that's okay, just so you know my background, where I'm coming from. So when I was in my early 20s, I was very, very sick. I'd been to many different doctors of every kind of medicine I could find, even looking in a phone book. And no one could help me get better. I had over 20 different illnesses. I had so many things wrong with me. I was in pain all the time. I was exhausted all the time. I slept 11 or 12 hours a day. I had blood coming out of me at every bowel movement. My hands were swollen with arthritis. I had severe sinus and allergy issues, asthma. Some people had mentioned fibromyalgia to me because I was in pain all over, chronic fatigue syndrome because of my exhaustion. I mean, it was a long list of illnesses, and ultimately, my last doctor told me that I had zero adrenal functioning, that my thyroid was almost totally shut down, and she said, if you don't do something different soon, you're not going to be around much longer. I was only 22 when Dr. Linton told me that. And so I began to do my own research and learned all about how the human body works and found doctors who can do amazing things. And I studied them, I read their books, I listened to their audios, I went to their workshops, and I developed the first ever comprehensive training program of the work of all these great people for the world. I used their knowledge to completely heal myself in less than 6 months, and then I added to that knowledge. I discovered how to uncover unconscious programming and take it out. In other words, how to heal the pain from the past of any and every trauma you've ever been through, and remove the negative beliefs that keep replaying in your mind over and over again, attracting reality to you in a way that you don't like. I literally figured out how to end suffering and bring heaven on earth for all human beings. I put that in my training program, and I realized that with that knowledge, you could actually end addiction, because you don't have to have cravings if you don't have emotional pain. And there's more to it than that. My 30-day How to Overcome Addictions Without Willpower program, it requires addressing all 4 parts of the human being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. That's what I believe in, that you have to address all the parts of a person if you want to achieve perfect health. My training program is called Total Health Mastery, and thousands of people credit me with saving their life. But I really don't focus too much on the health training anymore. It's available in our online school. You can go to my website and sign up for it anytime you want. Listen right now on your computer, on your tablet, on your phone, and learn this incredible health information that I've discovered and put together for you. What I focus on now is teaching relationships. Because with the 7 steps to reprogramming yourself, the method that is proven in scientific study to release negative emotions permanently, you can release the trauma of being raped. You can release the trauma of a divorce, of the death of a loved one. You can heal so many aspects of relationships. And I have so much to share with you about relationships. How to find or manifest your ideal lover. How to be happy and be in a good relationship with anybody. How to rekindle the lost love that you have. How to bring back the passion and feel that in-love feeling again. How to permanently erase jealousy. Can you imagine if you never felt jealous ever again for the rest of your life? That's me. I haven't had jealousy since 2005. This is 2017. I erased it all and it just never came back. So that's what I focus on today. But I also teach Reiki because I believe that you need to work on all 4 parts of the human being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And there's an internal and an external for each part. Reiki is spiritual and it's external. It's working with the human being's energy body. You're bringing energy from heaven down through your body and giving it to someone else or to yourself. And you're clearing the old energy out. If you think of your body as a system of energy channels, and the energy being like water, blockages in your energy channel are like dirt, mud, and even rocks. Reiki is like water washing through your channels. It'll wash away the dirt and some of the rocks, but the big boulders will wear down over time. If you do Reiki every day or on a regular basis, it's just like pouring water over a rock. Eventually it'll wear it down to nothing. And you can release all sorts of issues. If you repair your body physically, it impacts your emotions, your mind, and your spirit. If you heal your body spiritually, it impacts you mentally, emotionally, and physically. You'll see the greatest impact closest to the level you're working on, meaning you'll notice the biggest shift in your energy first, and second in your mind, third in your emotions, and fourth in your body, when you're practicing an energy or spiritual healing method like Reiki. So I've been teaching Reiki for over 20 years. I'm very blessed and very grateful that I learned Reiki and that I have permission to teach it, and I get to use the manuals that my amazing master teacher, Joanna Nielsen, created. And she's very generous to allow me to use her brilliantly done training manuals for Reiki. Joanna first learned Reiki in the method that's most well known, which is called Usui, U-S-U-I, Usui. And it was Mr. Usui, or maybe it's Dr. Usui, who brought Reiki to the United States. Well, one of his students brought it to the United States from Japan in the mid-1800s was when he discovered it. That's quite a long time ago. It took this long for it to become recognized by the world and for it to become somewhat commonly known. I'm sure there's still a lot of people who wouldn't believe in it and haven't heard of it, but we don't think about that. What we think about is those who we can help and those who are ready to receive the abundant gift that you're about to receive right now. And so after Joanna spent $1,500 for the level 1 Usui training and $3,500 for the level 2 training, I don't believe she took the $10,000 level 3 training in New York where she was training in Reiki. She then traveled to Australia. And she found 2 Tibetan monks teaching Reiki to doctors and nurses. And she walked into the class and they said, "Oh, it's about time you showed up." And she said, "What do you mean?" And they said, "Well, according to our astrology, you are the 17th reincarnation of a Tibetan Lama, and we've been waiting for you. Welcome. We're going to teach you Reiki." She was so surprised that she didn't believe in any of that stuff. But she hung out with them for 3 years, learning and practicing Reiki with them. And she told me a wonderful story one time about how when she was in Tibet, she walked into the temple wearing nothing but, her bare feet. I mean, I think it's beautiful to give your body a chance to feel the ground just through your feet like that. And she walked into the temple and she walked on the stone floor, and as she walked across, something very strange occurred. She noticed that some of the stone floor was warm. But that's impossible because there's no underground heating and there was no sunlight coming in through any window. How could the stone floor be warm? And so she asked the other monk that she'd been training with, Dr. Sikh, how is it possible that the stone floor has warm spots where the rest of it's cold? And Dr. Sikh looked at her and said, that's where your master walked. Her teacher lived to be over 109 years old. And he had so much energy pouring out of his hands and feet at any given moment that when he walked across a stone floor, it warmed the floor so much that when she walked on it later, she could still feel the heat. Wouldn't you like to be like that? I think that is just so cool. I want to be like that. I'm serious. I think it's amazing. And I want to have that much energy pouring out of me at all times. And you know, I have seen shifts in that direction throughout the years of practicing Reiki. I used to always be cold at night. And after I fixed my body through nutrition and the other things I teach in Total Health Masteries training, I noticed that I was always warm. I was so warm that if I had a girlfriend with me in bed, she would say, wow, you're like a coal. Like your body is like a warm, hot coal from a fire. It's such a turnaround from being freezing all the time. And I know that a big part of that is practicing Reiki. My body is radiating so much more heat and energy than it ever did before because of the Reiki practice, and I'm very grateful for that. I used to have to put my feet on a heater before I could go to bed at night. My feet would be so cold I couldn't sleep. I tried putting on 2 pairs of snowboarding socks and my snowboarding boots and a whole bunch of warm clothes, you know, layers and layers of long johns and a big snowboarding jacket and a hat and gloves, and I was sweating and my feet were still cold. That's how bad my circulation was. So I literally had to buy a space heater and warm my feet every night just so I could fall asleep. Now, the information I learned about nutrition is what really fixed that, but it also increased my Reiki ability. Before I healed my body through nutrition and detoxification and the other methods of healing that you'll learn if you take the Total Health Mastery training programs, it used to be that if I gave someone a Reiki treatment, they would get better from whatever cold or flu they had within 3 days. So if everyone was sick for 3 weeks and they had it for a couple days and I gave them a Reiki treatment, they'd be better in 3 days, guaranteed, like clockwork. Every single person, 3 days later, their cold was gone. And then after healing my body, and I didn't even practice Reiki for 6 months, I gave someone a Reiki treatment who had just gotten sick that day, and everyone was sick for weeks with this flu that was going around. And the very next day, she was totally better. Her name was Erin. And her friend Francesca said, I want you to do that to me. I said, do what? She's like, whatever you did to Erin, I want that. Like, what do you mean? She was sick, she had the flu, and then the next day she woke up right as rain. Perfect, you did it, I want you to do it for me. So I started giving her friends, all these people Reiki treatments because it literally worked overnight to take away her cold and flu. And I was surprised at how much more energy was coming through me because I worked on my energy channels from a different method with nutrition and detoxification. But in any case, the combined effect was dramatic. To practice spiritual, energetic healing, as well as learning how to heal myself physically, emotionally, and mentally, was a great, astounding combination. It made the energy coming through me doing Reiki so much stronger. I can't tell you how many people have said, I've experienced Reiki many times, but I've never felt anything like what you're doing. That is so much power. So much power would come through me that if I gave you a Reiki treatment for your very first time, you never had one in your whole life, if I gave you a full hour-long treatment like I'm supposed to, you'd be sick the next day. You would literally wake up sick from toxins and poisons trying to get out of your body. You'd have to jump into an Epsom salt or a magnesium bath, maybe go get a colonic, and drink tons of water and take tons of minerals to help your body flush out all the poison that's dumping because I gave your body so much energy that it literally said, yes, let's start getting rid of all this crap that's been inside of us for all these years, because your body accumulates toxicity and poison throughout your life, and it takes energy to get that out. I had someone say they had liver and gallbladder stones come out the next day after getting a Reiki treatment from me. Can you believe that? Stones came out because there was so much energy transferred, not my energy, the energy of heaven, through me into her. I'm just a conduit, and you can become a conduit too. You can have Reiki energy pass through you, and you can give it to people. And what's so beautiful about it is every time you give someone a Reiki treatment, the energy has to go through you first meaning you get a healing. It washes away your garbage, sending it down to the earth to be transmuted into loving earth energy. And then the healing energy of heaven goes through you into someone else. You can use it on dogs, cats, your plants, your pet chinchilla, anybody. Yeah, the whole audience is laughing. I know. It's okay. You can laugh too. My jokes are not going to get any funnier. You can laugh anytime you want. No, but seriously, you can use it on plants. Joanna told me that people have stood at the corners of their gardens and sent Reiki through their hands to their garden and made their plants grow outstandingly well. So I went to a plant store and I bought a whole bunch of plants that were in the dying, we're trying to get rid of these plants section. They had this table at Mulbach's in, I guess that's Linwood, Washington, of all these plants that weren't doing well, and I bought a whole bunch of them. I bought a $60 orchid for $10 because they thought it was dying. And I took all these plants home and I gave them all Reiki and I grew a jungle in my house. It was amazing. It was totally amazing. I remember giving that orchid to my aunt and it had like 8 to 10 flowers popping out of it when I gave it to her because I had given it Reiki, and of course I gave it the proper water and nutrition. But without the healing energy of Reiki, that wouldn't have happened. And so you can use it on your plants, you can use it on your water. Of course, you can use it on your animals. That same girl, Francesca, I mentioned, was taking her cat on a long flight, and her cat was freaking out and couldn't really handle being inside of a cage to get into the plane. So she asked me if I could give her a cat Reiki because nothing else was working. So I gave her cat Reiki. It only takes a few minutes for a cat. And she just calmed down and slept the whole way. I took my dog on a flight. I gave her Reiki before we got on the plane. When we got off the plane, she looked like she was so excited. Let's go, let's play. No problem. This dog, my dog, had a terrible fear of loud noises. So that was pretty cool. When she had her hysterectomy, which is what they do when they spay a dog, I gave her Reiki after. And I think that really helped her recover and heal quickly. And you know what it also did? It showed her that I cared about her. You know, to take the time to lay my hands on her and give her that healing energy wasn't just providing her that heavenly energy. I was also showing her care and concern and compassion and showing her that I was willing to do whatever I needed to do, whatever I could do to make her feel better. One time I was attending a seminar in Vancouver, Canada. Amazing seminar. Oh my God, it was so good. It was like life-changing and extremely fun, like going on vacation. That's why I try to make my seminars. Very, very fun, but the most life-changing experience you've ever had. I'm sure that the last 3-day course I did on how to reprogram the unconscious mind was the greatest experience of their lives for almost everyone in the audience. That's how much fun. So I was at one of these courses, and my neighbors, they're so loud, it's great. And so I'm at one of these courses, and I don't have a ride to where I'm staying. I'm staying with a friend, this amazing girl I met, and she doesn't have a car, so we're taking a taxi back and forth. And I didn't have the money back then. I hadn't cleared all my money blockages yet, and I didn't have the money to pay for the taxi, and I was kind of stuck. So I told God, I need a ride. And God said, okay, well, all you have to do is be nice, and it'll show up. And I said, okay. So I saw someone who had a headache. I could tell she had a headache because she was sitting there in her chair, like rubbing her temples, you know, like, oh, on my head, you know. So I walked over to her and I said, excuse me, do you have a headache? She said, yes. I said, would you like some Reiki? And she's like, oh yes, I would love some Reiki. I guess she knew what it was. So I gave her a Reiki on her head, you know, just like that, you know, on her head, just like that. And you know, I had developed the ability to feel. I couldn't feel energy for the first few months, but eventually I could. And I could feel where her head needed the energy. I could feel where the energy blockage was and where the body needed to draw in the energy. So I put my hands there and then moved them until it was done and there was no more funk on her head. And she looked at me and she said, that's amazing, all my pain is gone. 10 minutes. 10 minutes, that's normal. I will do that with anybody who has a headache. Oh, you got a headache? Here, lay down right here, sit right here, boom, 10 minutes, it's gone. Does that mean it's gone permanently? No. Only if the root cause of it is spiritual. If it's spiritual, yes, it's knocked out. If the root cause is dehydration, they better drink some water, because if they don't, in a few hours, their headache will come back. If the root cause is a lack of minerals, they better get some mineralization going, otherwise it's going to come back. If the root cause is constipation, it's going to come back if they don't get their bowels moving. You know, the doctor that conducted the study on my 7 Steps to Reprogramming Yourself training, Dr. Zuzana Bick, who's a professor at the University of California, Irvine, she conducted a study on headaches. And she found, in 1997, it was published, that constipation can cause a headache. So you need to be aware of that if you have a headache. So if you're working on the spiritual level with Reiki, you're going to knock out spiritual issues permanently. But you may not knock out physical, emotional, or mental issues permanently on the first try or at all. You need the right tool for the right job. Does that make sense? Yes, you might get some stones out of your liver and gallbladder when you have more energy, but you might want to do a liver, gallbladder, stone flush and actually push them out. By the way, her study on my 7 Steps to Reprogramming Yourself process found that every single member of the audience said that they released negative emotions permanently and could do it on their own after the training. You can learn the 7 steps online right now. Anytime you want, just go to my website and you can learn the 7 steps, do it at home. I had someone from Pennsylvania email me saying, Arno, I just finished the 7 steps course online, and doing this is better than 30 years of psychotherapy. 30 years. Yeah, thanks, Mike. Mike Burns sent me that email. So for each part of you, you need the right tool. The 7 Steps to Reprogramming Yourself works on the unconscious mind. That's mental, internal. Reiki works on spiritual, external. I got tools for all the parts of you. Reiki is a brilliant and amazing tool, and it makes you feel better. It really does. So I started teaching Reiki 20 years ago, and it's a beautiful thing to do a Reiki class. Reiki is taught in 3 levels, level 1, level 2, and level 3, which typically people are called a Reiki master when they're at level 3. Your definition of mastery might be different. It just means you've learned it all. So if that's what it is to be a master, then yeah, you're a Reiki master at level 3. Each Reiki course, or each level, has training on what to do and how to do it, and you receive an attunement. An attunement is where the Reiki master or the teacher sends a huge blast of energy through your energy field, opening up your energy channels, allowing more healing energy to flow through you. But because it blows open your energy channels, it's removing a bunch of stuff that shouldn't be there. Dirt, mud, rocks, crap, energetic crap stuck in you. It takes a month for your body to adapt and adjust, to process the tremendous healing benefit of the attunement. Think about it like this. Let's say that your hand can have energy come out of it, because it does, and it can. It's part of your DNA as a human being. And let's say that you can have about that much energy screaming out of your hand as you're doing Reiki without having an attunement. But once you have your first attunement, it'll change, and you'll have maybe the size of a big silver dollar of energy come out of your hand. After your second attunement, this much energy, your whole palm, can come out. It's like a fire hose. All this energy flowing out of your hand. After your third attunement, the entire hand, all the way to the edges of your fingers. That much energy can just flow out of you. Isn't that cool? It's so cool. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, the attunement process. I'm very blessed to be able to attune people, and I've attuned so many, many people. But it's not just an attunement that blows energy out of your channels. You also receive symbols that are very ancient, that are older than Sanskrit or any language on our planet, that have meaning to everyone's DNA. Everyone knows what these symbols mean deep inside of themselves, even if they don't know what they mean consciously. So I teach you what the symbols are, and then how to use them to increase the flow of energy, and to bring in certain types of energy, like energy for emotional healing. Yeah, just go ahead and take a deep breath. If you haven't been taking notes, you might want to start. It's great to take notes because you remember better. So, you receive symbols in the level 1 attunement. If you learn Asui Reiki, there are no symbols at level 1, only at levels 2 and 3. But in the Tibetan Shakti Reiki that Joanna learned, you will receive 7 symbols total, and 2 of them come at level 1. So if you've already taken Reiki before, but you've never taken Tibetan Shakti Reiki, then you'd want another attunement so that you can get those other 2 symbols that are only taught, as far as I know, in the Tibetan Shakti Reiki tradition, unless someone else, of course, is teaching them in their new tradition because there's many different types of Reiki out there. Now, the Usui Reiki is $1,500 for level 1. Why is that? Well, what happened was, and I'm going to give you the history of Reiki now. What happened was, this man was a monk, and his students said to him, "How did Jesus heal with his hands?" Now, there is some question as to whether it was Jesus or Buddha they were asking about. I like to go with Jesus because we're in Western civilization, and most people believe that Jesus healed people with touch. And so, in this tradition, this monk was required to find the answer if he didn't know it. Can you imagine if a student asks you a question and you don't know the answer? It's your job to go find it. So he spent 10 years traveling the world, learning Sanskrit and 2 other ancient languages, trying to find out, how did Jesus heal with his hands? How did he do it? And after 10 years, he was defeated and felt like giving up because nothing existed. There was nothing he could find about how to do it. And he retreated himself to a monastery. And the head of the monastery learned of his mission and told him, there's one more thing you have to try before you can give up and say that you've tried everything. You must do a pilgrimage, or in the more indigenous culture, you would say a vision quest. You know, every indigenous culture on the planet does vision questing, just like they do drumming and dancing and singing and storytelling and sweat lodges. What's a vision quest? That's when you go into a sacred circle somewhere in nature, you only drink water or nothing, and you pray. Traditionally, vision quests are done when someone's 13, and they're supposed to discover who they are and come back as an adult. And it's their rite of passage into adulthood. I strongly recommend that for human beings all over the world. When you're 13, you do your vision quest. They're usually between 4 and 7 days. Someone has to be guiding and protecting the space, making sure that you're doing it right, and energetically that you're safe. And then you come out of it an adult. Why not? I think it's a beautiful, amazing thing. I did my vision quest when I was in my early 20s, and it was absolutely life-changing. I did it with a guy named Malcolm. And Malcolm, you can find his website. It's earthheart.com. And I think he still guides people on vision quests. In Montana is where I did mine, on sacred land that was owned by the Crow Indians. And that's where they used to do their vision quests. It was amazing. I saw lightning bolts as big as a house that were pink landing near me. It was incredible. Anyway, everyone's vision quest will be different. I shouldn't tell you about mine at all because yours might not have anything like that happen. I mean, that's kind of unusual. Anyhow, the monastery, the monk, his pilgrimage, his vision quest, he decided to do one for 21 days on the top of a mountain. He piled up 21 little stones, and each day, at the end of the day, he would throw the stone off the cliff. So he would know how many days had gone by, because how else would you keep track? And every day he prayed and prayed and prayed for God, or you can call it the universe, the great spirit, the force, the divine love of all, that everything is actually emanating and creating from. He was praying to the source for the answer. How did Jesus heal with his hands? And nothing was coming until the very last day. The sun was setting behind him. And as he was looking off to the east, a small golden orb appeared and began traveling towards him. He was a little bit nervous. What the heck is this thing? And it was traveling towards him and it hit him right in the third eye, right in the energy center of your clairvoyance, your ability to see intuitively. And he fell back and he began to have a vision. He began to see the symbols. He began to see how the process is done. He began to see the attunement process. He downloaded, he received directly from Source, from God, from the universe, how to do Reiki. He was so excited, when he woke up, it was the next morning, and he started running down the mountain, and he tripped on a rock and tore his foot. His toe, his big toe, was 3/4 of the way torn, almost off. He sat down and began to practice what he had just learned and did Reiki on his toe. And the first miracle occurred. It completely healed. When he got to the bottom of the mountain, there was a cabin there with a family of people who would bring those who wish to vision quest and do their pilgrimages back to eating food. You can't just drink water for a week or 3 weeks and then eat a steak. You'll die. You'll die. You have to start with something really simple like vegetable soup broth and maybe some blended fruit, maybe some watermelon, something very easy. And then after a day of eating only very easy, maybe blended foods that are raw, then you could start having some very easy to digest cooked stuff, like some soup with actual food inside of it, some carrots and potatoes in your soup. And then you could actually come back to eating some solid cooked foods. And then maybe on the 4th day, you could actually poison yourself with some meat, right? So he arrives at this cabin, and the husband and wife say, "Oh, welcome back from your pilgrimage. What was it about?" And he began to tell them, and they said, "Well, let's give you some soup broth to get you started." And he said, "No, I don't want soup broth. I want a full meal. I want meat. I want everything." And they said, "You can't have that. You'll die." And he said, "No, I won't. I just know what I need. Bring it to me." So they brought him a full meal, and he ate the whole thing and didn't even get sick at all. That was the second miracle. And they saw this, and they were so amazed. And he told them what he had discovered during his vision quest. And they said, "Maybe you can help our daughter." And they brought their daughter out from the back room, and she had a giant growth on her head. Can you imagine this big growth coming out of her head? And he laid his hands on, and it shrunk down to nothing. That was the third miracle. He was so excited. So he went home to Japan, and he began offering Reiki classes. He wanted to teach everyone, and nobody wanted to learn. Nobody wanted to learn because he was offering it for free, so they thought it was worthless. So he began to charge a lot of money, and then everyone wanted to learn. And over time, one of his students brought Reiki to Hawaii, and then it came to the mainland. And the first time I ever experienced it was before I met Joanna. I was a tutor in college. That's how I worked my way through college. I taught the whole time. I would either be in school learning, doing my homework, or teaching. That was all I did for years and years and years, developing my art form of teaching. And one of the girls that came to me for tutoring was a Reiki master. And she had gone to Hawaii and trained in Reiki there, paying $1,500 for level 1, $3,500 for level 2, and $10,000 for level 3. And they must be taught separately. You can't do them all in a weekend. Some people say that they're a Reiki master, and I find out that they're only a level 1 practitioner because they went to a 3-day Reiki training where they did level 1 on the first day, level 2 on the second day, level 3 on the third day, and that doesn't work because it takes a whole month for your body to receive and adapt and process the attunement. So you must have your classes at least 1 month apart. So everyone who took all 3 levels in a weekend is actually only a level 1 practitioner because only the first attunement actually worked. So if that happened to you, don't despair. One of my friends, my friend Brock, he was taking Barbara Brennan's 4-year Hands of Light training, and he thought Reiki wasn't the bomb that it is. He didn't know it was the bomb diggity diggity dog. He didn't know. And then during the Hands of Light 4-year training on hands-on healing, he had a real Reiki class. And he was so astonished at how awesome it is. And he called me and said, "Oh my God, now I understand why you love Reiki. It's so cool." So it's $10,000 for level 3 Reiki training, $3,500 for level 2, $1,500 for level 1 in the Asui tradition. And this gal I met who was coming to me for tutoring in college put her hands on my back when I had back pain. I felt it. I felt the energy come in. It was amazing. And the pain went away. And that's what really made me curious to want to learn Reiki. Of course, I was a poor college student and I didn't have $15,000 to invest. But when I met Joanna at the free Reiki clinic in Everett, Washington, that my friend Daniel McCarter took me to, because I was training martial arts with Daniel and he invited me to go and see this free Reiki clinic and receive a free Reiki treatment, I found out that she wasn't charging nearly that much because she wanted to make it available to more people. And I felt there was a lot of compassion in that, which is why I don't charge $1,500 either. And it was an amazing experience to learn Reiki with her. And I found out that Reiki is more than just an attunement and learning to run energy through your body from heaven, and more than just the symbols. It's learning how to protect your energy field. It's learning how to be grounded and connected to the earth. There's so much more to it. And then I added a lot to my Reiki training. When I teach Reiki, I also teach intuitive development skills. I teach you how to develop your 4 intuitive senses. Did you know that you have 9 senses? Pete Sanders Jr., MIT brain scientist, says in his book, You Are Psychic. I'd rather call it You Are Intuitive. In his book, You Are Intuitive, he says that all human beings have 9 senses. 5 physical and 4 spiritual or intuitive senses: seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing. Clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance. Knowing. You just know. You just know who's calling before you even look at your phone. How do you know? That's claircognizance. That's intuitive knowing. All right, everyone has all of them. And I found as I practiced Reiki that it was really easy to practice my intuitive skills. And I had a friend named Les that would come over to my place, and every week we would do a trade. I'd give him a Reiki treatment, he'd give me a Reiki treatment. And he would ask me, he'd say, Arnaud, I want you to look and see what's in my energy field. And I would say, I don't see anything. He'd say, just look! And I realized that my muscle of clairvoyance, of looking, wasn't very strong. I needed to develop the muscle. And so I learned, not just from him, and not just from Joanna, but from many, many books and audio programs and courses that I took, how to develop your intuition. I can teach anyone how to do a full spiritual counseling session. Everyone who graduates from my mastery course can do that. And I start teaching it in the beginning of my courses, and by the end, you will say that you are an intuitive person, that you can use all of your senses. I have figured out how to remove the blockages to being intuitive, how to turn your intuitive senses back on if they're turned off, how to make them stronger if they're weak because they haven't been flexed, they haven't been used. It's like a muscle that's never been accessed that needs to be rebuilt. I can show you how to do that. I love teaching it within the Reiki training because it's such a great time. When you're doing Reiki, you drift into a heightened state of consciousness naturally. You go into an alpha state, the zone in sports. It's fun and amazing to develop your intuitive ability. So when I teach Reiki, I don't just teach the Usui Reiki and the Tibetan Shakti Reiki, because Tibetan Shakti Reiki includes everything taught in Usui Reiki. I also teach my own unique intuitive training skills that nobody else teaches. I've been a professional medical intuitive since I was 24 years old. I read Carolyn Mace's book, Anatomy of the Spirit, when I was 16. And she told a story about how there was a guy that called her who had HIV and had AIDS. And he was dying. And she gave him a medical intuitive reading over the phone. And she told him, the reason you have AIDS is because you haven't told your father that you're gay. I'm going to have you do a health program with my friend who's a holistic health practitioner. And I need you to tell your dad. 6 weeks later, he called her and said, I was tested for HIV and I tested negative and all my symptoms are gone. When I read that, I said, I want to be just like her. It took me 8 years of training and practice and taking courses before I felt like I was just like her. I could teach you how to do that. Take a deep breath. I want to tell you that there are scientific studies on Reiki because it's easy to be skeptical. In fact, it's good to be, to some degree, skeptical. It's good to ask for proof. Why not? Why not ask for proof? I've told you stories about my experiences. I've told you stories about other people's experiences. But what about scientific stories? Is there any scientific proof of Reiki? Yes, there is. There's quite a bit, actually. The first study I found was presented in 1998 or 1997. I forget if it was done in 7 and presented in 1998 or however, but it was presented at a health expo in Orlando, Florida. And the study was done using machinery that measures a human being's energy level. It's the same type of machinery that's used to validate the practice and use of acupuncture. And they find with this machine that if someone is healthy, their energy level will be over 50. And the lower they are, the less healthy they are. And if someone's below 35, they probably have a major illness like cancer. So a group of 5 people, not all level 3 practitioners, some of them were only level 1 or level 2 practitioners, and I think there was 1 level 3 practitioner. And these 5 people combined their energy together to give Reiki treatments to people who were below 35. They were sick. Many of them had cancer. And they proved that every single patient in the study had their energy level raised above 50 on the scale. Now I want to tell you, when you do Reiki, a certain amount of energy is going to come through you. It's going to increase dramatically with each attunement and with you clearing and healing yourself in other ways, physically, emotionally, and mentally. You're going to increase the amount of energy coming through you, just like I did. Every time you do Reiki, more energy will come through you because you washed away things during your last treatment. Your hands will get hotter and hotter and hotter every single time. But when you do it with somebody else, you exponentially increase the energy. That's right. So 5 people giving someone a Reiki treatment, that's power. That's a lot of power. I remember the first time I got a Reiki treatment from 8 people at once. Holy mackerel. That felt incredible. I mean, amazing. I love it. And that's one of the great things about a Reiki course is everyone comes together and does Reiki together as a group. It's amazing. It's totally amazing to do Reiki in a group. So that's one study. But if you do some research online, you'll see what I saw. A bunch of people saying, it doesn't work, it's crap, it's a crock, they're liars. Yeah, that same person doesn't believe in anything that works. And they just submit themselves to pain and death. Good for them. Everyone's allowed to live in darkness as long as they want to. We bless them and give them love and compassion and say, good luck with that experience of darkness, pain, and suffering. I don't choose that. I don't believe that pain is necessary or required. I don't believe in it. I think pain is optional. I choose pleasure. I choose joy. I choose happiness. And so I saw studies on Reiki. I saw that it's used in over 700 hospitals around the world, including Yale and Harvard's medical school hospitals. I saw that studies have been done on pain, and over 80% of the people who were in pain said their pain was alleviated. I saw studies done on sleep. People who couldn't sleep could sleep. On people who felt stressed out, so they felt relaxed and calm. There are lots and lots of studies on Reiki. But I don't think that scientific studies are the real proof. The real proof is when you do it and you see it working. And what's interesting is I didn't feel it for 3 or 4 months. I didn't feel the energy. But I developed my intuitive sense of feeling, and eventually I could feel the energy. Eventually I could even see the energy coming out of my hands. I used to practice Reiki at the Optimum Health Institute in San Diego, in their spa. And these people would come in for Reiki treatments, and I'd give them an hour treatment. It didn't pay that well. And on my own, I would charge $100 an hour for a Reiki treatment. And I'm sure I could charge a lot more now because I'll combine modalities. I would do Reiki with a magnet therapy, with the 7 steps to reprogramming yourself, with a medical intuitive reading, with all the other tools I know. I charge way over $100. I don't even do that. If you want to see me, it's $5,000 up front. And that's just right now. And that's for a 3-month program. I'm sure I'll raise it up again. That's almost $400 an hour. And that's really not enough for my time, but I get pleasure out of making my services available to more people by keeping the price down to only about $400 an hour. For Reiki and Reiki alone, without all the other skills I have, you could easily charge $100 an hour, $50 an hour. My teacher used to charge between $30 and $100 an hour on a sliding scale, depending on what you could afford. This was 20 years ago. I love that idea. You could say, look, it's $150, but if you can't, you can just pay anything you can afford between $30 and $100, right? You could make it up. As far as charging, whatever you want is great. For me, it's all about helping people and making a difference. That's what I love to do. I love to help people. There's so much joy and fulfillment in making a difference in someone's life, isn't there? That's why I'm making this video for you, so you can understand what Reiki is and have access to it. So the real measurement of the value of Reiki is to practice it and see it working. That's the real measurement. So now you're probably thinking you want to take Reiki, you want to learn Reiki, how do you do it? And I've already explained to you that some people are teaching it incorrectly. And a lot of people don't know the Tibetan Shakti Reiki that I've learned. So I'm very, very blessed. And of course, nobody's teaching the intuitive training that I'm offering. So my Reiki class is very unique, and there's no one else teaching it like me. I very rarely teach Reiki. I only do it when I feel called to do it. And I actually have been called to do it. 4 people asked me in a span of 2 days if I was going to offer a Reiki class. And then it just jumped at me on my computer, like, teach Reiki. And I said, okay, I'll offer a Reiki class. So I've got one coming up on August 13th, which is very soon, and then also on October 22nd. It's only a 1-day class for level 1. Level 2 is 1 day. Level 3 is a full 2-day weekend. My Reiki level 1 class does include the two the two symbols in your attunement that are only taught in Tibetan Shakti Reiki, right? It also includes my special intuition training. Now, I told you already that the Asui Reiki training is $1,500. And I don't charge that much because I want to help more people and make it available to more people. So my level 1 course is only $499. And to make it available to everyone, I also offer a payment plan of 7 payments of $99, or you can even do $25 a month for 36 months. one lady, she called me and she said, Arnaud, I love the way you teach, and the best thing about you is your heart. She really got me moved there for a second when she said that. And she said, I feel so blessed to be able to take courses with you. She just took my 7 steps through Programming Yourself weekend. And she said, I have to take your Reiki class, but I don't have the money right now. Can I just do $10 a month? And I said, of course. 90 payments of $10 a month, no problem. She said, maybe after the beginning of the year, I'll be able to pay more. And I said, great. And I said, with any of payment plans that we offer, if you pay it off within a month, you get the one payment price of $499. If you pay it off after the first month in one payment, you'll get a 33% discount off of whatever your remaining balance is. So if she pays $10 a month for a year, she'll still have a remaining balance of $780. But if she pays in one payment, it takes 33% off, just like that. I encourage people in that way because once you learn how to reprogram your unconscious mind, you can change your money situation. And like me, I was very poor. I grew up in poverty. I was starved for many years. I was without food, without warmth. And I learned how to reprogram all that and change my financial life. And that's available to everyone. And by offering a payment plan as low as $25 a month, I'm making Reiki available to everyone. That's why I do that. Of course, you save money if you do one payment, which is to your benefit, because you're making a stronger commitment, and therefore you're going to get more out of it. And that's why it's like that. It comes with a manual, a beautiful manual that Joanna wrote. Thank you, Joanna, for letting me use your manual. I really appreciate it. And it's going to be held at a beautiful home in Dana Point, which is in Orange County, California. Reiki is best done in a home, not in a fancy hotel, which is where I usually hold my courses. It just feels better doing it at home. We do a potluck, and it's amazing. It's just an amazing day. It'll be one of those moments that you'll remember for the rest of your life. Once you take Reiki with me, you can come back and take it over and over again at no cost. So once you've taken level 1, you can come be a reviewer and take it again and again and again as often as you want. You won't need another attunement, you just need the first one for each level of training. Take a deep breath. Now to sign up, all you have to do is click on the link and pick which one you want to come to. If you're watching this video and it's already past August 13th, come to October 22nd. If it's already past October 22nd and there isn't one scheduled, sign up to be on the waiting list, and then you can be notified of a future Reiki level 1 course. I am going to be doing a Reiki 2 course and a Reiki 3 course this year, so if you get into the level 1 course now, you'll be able to take the whole series, which will be a lot of fun for both of us. Take a deep breath in, and let that go. Now you might be wondering about getting a certificate. Yes, I had a brilliant, absolute genius graphic designer make the most incredible certificate. And when you graduate from level 1, you can earn your certificate. It's not included. You have to practice Reiki for 100 hours, and then you email my staff, and my staff will then have the certificate printed and mailed to you. It's also an additional $40 for the certification. Having your certification is very important if you want to practice Reiki professionally, like I did at the Optimum Health Institute. They asked me for my certification to prove that I was a Reiki master before they let me practice Reiki in their spa. So if you want to practice Reiki at a fancy hotel, a massage therapy center, a healing center, or any place like that, you'll need to have the certificate. And so you can earn the certificate by doing 100 hours of practice, real experience, and you email my office, and my staff will then have your certificate printed and mailed to you. It's $40 for the certificate. That's it, simple enough. Now the other thing you should know about Reiki is because there's only one of me, and I have to give each person an individual and private attunement, I limit the class size to only 12 people. I really can't handle much more than that. So 12 is the right number. And most of the spaces for the August 13th class are already taken, and I haven't even announced it yet. That's how it works. Once the universe wants me to teach it, everyone just starts coming out of the woodwork trying to sign up for it. Now, the October 22nd course has not been announced at all, except for the 2 people who asked if I could do it. So they already signed up. So it will be sold out. So I recommend that you register immediately and not wait. There's a link right there. Just find the link, click on the link, register for whichever one you want to sign up for. Once they're full, you won't be able to register. You'll just be able to sign up for the waiting list. So, and of course you'd want to do that because if there's enough people on a waiting list, then I might do another one sooner than later. I'm looking forward to having you in my course. And if you're unable to fly out to California, or if it's too much for you to come because of the distance, you can look up Joanna Nielsen in Everett, Washington, and you can sign up for training with her. I don't know who else I would recommend to you individually, but you could always search for Reiki on the internet, and I'm sure you'll find many, many teachers. There's many forms of Reiki being taught. Just make sure that they don't try to give you all the attunements in one weekend, because it takes a month for each attunement to really sink in and fully integrate. So as long as you're getting your attunements separated, you should be good to go. There's nothing wrong with reading books. Joanna was a major contributor, if not the major contributor, in a book called Essential Reiki, one of the most well-known books on Reiki, and that's the first thing I read that Joanna recommended I read. The author of the book interviewed Joanna and used much of the information in the book. So it's a good place to start if you just want to learn about it. I hope I've answered all of your questions. If you have other questions, feel free to call my office, 877-680-8200, or to email me. It's Arnoux, ARNOUX, at totalhealthmasteryusa.com. You can obviously go to my website, totalhealthmasteryusa.com, and go to the Contact Us, and you'll have all of our information, including our mailing address. So you can just let us know if you have questions. Otherwise, thank you for taking the time to learn about Reiki with me. I'm excited to be able to teach it to you and to have you share with those that you love and care about. And yes, even a young child can receive a Reiki attunement and have a major change in their behavior and how they live life. So with that, I say, talk to you soon.